Wow. And when you guys went in 2019, trust me, the airport has improved significantly from years. Hey, listen, in years past, there was one washroom, like two washrooms
Oh,
in
wow.
the whole airport.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my
I was
God.
thinking
Listen,
that.
it was a different experience. So what you guys got was actually, and I think it shows that the country is progressing and all of that. So now let's talk a little bit about your experience in the country. And what I really want to focus on now is like, you are a person made up of multiple identities. You
Sure.
have a faith component, you're a woman, you are an American, and you're also a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how those identities intersected while you were in the country. If there was any conflict, things that you noticed that was different from how you were doing things to how Ghanaians were doing things, and all, just a little bit on that topic.
Wow. Okay. That's a big question.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
yeah.
loaded. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just gonna make some notes. So Black, I'm a woman. I know the Lord, and I'm American. Okay. So ways those conflicted or intersected being there. I think I'll start with being Black. I think that's always very interesting how that works out when you go to another nation, because I noticed with some of my peers on the trip, there was like this thing of like, we're Black, so we're just going to blend in, and like, you are home. And I honestly, I didn't go there expecting that, because I mean, Tyler Kelly has been a number of times, and I remember him sharing like, yeah, like just the fact that I had long locks, they knew I wasn't African, and then I've been to Haiti. And when I was in Haiti, I was called Beverly Hills, and I wasn't even saying anything, but something about me just was very clear. I was not Haitian. So I didn't expect going there to be some like, oh my God, like, you're home. Of course, we had that new Igbo experience that was like a, cultural, you're home. But as far as fitting in, I knew I was Black American. I think because you're American, I've always been fascinated with how being American is received in other countries. And I know for me, when I am in another country, it could be Paris, or Paris isn't a country, it could be France, it could be wherever. I'm already aware of like, okay, I'm American. I don't need to be fake or phony or toned down, but I'm very cognizant. I become like hyper aware of how I'm perceived. So being in Ghana, I felt it was very important to just like be the recipient of whatever their culture is. So if that's, hey, everyone needs to go and line up over here, I'm gonna line up over here. I just remembered this, the whole traffic stop thing, going to the Cape Coast. While that was that was a vexing scenario for some people, I just felt like no big deal.
Explain what happened for people who may not know what you're talking about.
Sure. So what was going on was, as you sojourn, I'll use that word, outside of the capital, being Accra and more of the main cities, there's more rural areas, and there's police, and there are police stops. It's not like some huge, like, scary thing. Obviously, that's just the security infrastructure they have. So we came upon a traffic stop, and at that traffic stop, I think there was maybe a concern on the police side of like, there was a lot of people, it was clear we were traveling, nothing was wrong with that. But of course, they're just making sure everything is everything. That also started to coincide though with some people needing to use the bathroom. Of course, there wasn't a bathroom. So there was this whole thing of like, can we just hold tight, comply through this traffic stop? We'll stop, wherever. But of course, it was an urgent matter. So it ended up being where some of the people left the vehicle to take care of business while we were still in the traffic stop. And that can come off, to me, I felt that can come off sketchy to the police side. Because it's like, there's all these people, it's very clear they're foreigners. Now they're like we weren't demanding, but it was like, now they're like, they have to get out of the vehicle. Like, we're literally in the middle of nowhere. So even things like that, like, I try to just, like, when I travel, I just try to minimize all those types of scenarios, because unknowingly you can end up in a much more serious
Mm, mm.
situation. So that's how being American plays out to me, being in Africa, but also anywhere. You just have, people already have a connotation. So you just have to be aware of that. Don't be fake, have fun, be you, meet people, be real, but like you have to be hyper aware. You have to be hyper aware.
Mm.
And then being a woman, that's a good one. I don't know if I would say this. I felt really empowered as a Black woman being in Africa, because you did such a good job, Tim, by having us interface with people like, I'm like, what's her name? Don't tell me I know it. Fatima, right?
Yeah, Fatia.
Fatia. Okay, Fatia. So I found her, she was empowering to me. That conference we had, oh my goodness. Lorraine, is it Lorraine? I don't know her
Yeah,
last name.
yeah, Lorraine,
Just
yeah.
so amazing. Now, granted, all of these women did speak about the difficulties they have being a African woman in Africa, but you were seeing that these were women that have risen above this situation or have risen to the circumstances, and they were just really like killing the opportunities they had. So I felt very empowered to see that. And then being a Christian, I thought that translated very well being on the continent. I think as we got to interact with a professor that shared kind of his historical perspective on, Ghana and how faith has like impacted Ghana, I think I started wondering like, what are the real implications being Christian has in this country? And then is it, because of course, when you study the Bible, there's always this thing of like contextualization. So in that time, it looked like this, but the way that translates to this time looks like this. And I wondered, like, has Ghana really had a moment where it's like really like had a new way? I can't describe it, but I would say in America, from a Christian angle, there's a big push to like, yo, we don't all have to work in the church to be used by God. So if you're an entertainer, go to Hollywood. If you're a business person, do that. Like there's this push of like, bring Christ into what you're doing, like contextualize ministry to where you are. And I don't know if that's a shared like ideology in Ghana. And I think because of that, being a Christian, it looked real traditional. I won't say rigid, but it looked very like traditional. And I just know in America, like churches are in a time, you can't, of course, keep, the doctrine, but like you have to be asking like, Holy Spirit, what does it look like here and now? So I started wondering like, how has Ghana like dissected what like the faith looks like here and now for their country? But as far as what I did see, I thought was great. I thought the spiritual climate was amazing. It felt very light in a good way, like positive, like it felt good. And that was huge for me because I've been to some places, even the United States I go to, and I'm like, it just feels like dark. The whole atmosphere feels dark. So that spoke well to me, being a Christian in Ghana. I was like, there's good things going on here.
You know what? It's always interesting to hear people's perspective because, especially when you bring groups to Ghana, there's a balance of trying to immerse people in the context, but also keeping people in a safe bubble. So you don't have to, because you obviously you want people, if you're doing tours, if they're missions or they're cultural tours, you want people to get enough experience, but not so much where they run away. And so listening to you speak is so interesting because I know right now in the comment section, right, there are some people saying, you don't know the real Ghana and blah, 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 blah. But it's interesting because when you see the country with new eyes, it even makes you appreciate what you have. Like I think about a lot of immigrants, let's even talk about African immigrants who come to America and they see the opportunities. But the next thing you know, there's, Nigerians are everywhere. But like in Houston, you go to some places and it's like, it looks like Nigeria. You go to some places in Houston, it looks like it's Chinatown, literally. Or some places in Houston, it's like Mexico. It's all Spanish billboards. Nobody speaks English. And you just think about like, wow, like at least when I went back to the States recently, I saw America with new eyes. And to be honest with you, Shay, what I realized was I said, this is why so many people leave and they don't come back to places like Ghana. Because one of the things that we get the privilege of doing when we travel to these places is we travel and some of us spend more money in 10 days than some people make all year.
Wow. Yeah.
And we don't have to deal with some of the traditional cultural hegemonic impositions, like if you got locks, like it really has real implications in the country. Like you're probably going to get more likely to be pulled over by the police.
Wow.
Granted, it won't end in like violence, but being harassed, or even you may go to the hospital and the person may say, well, listen, this person has locks, so they're probably a bad person, so whatever they got going on, they brought it on themselves. And that's a
Wow.
real thing that can happen. But I think as a foreigner, sometimes, particularly as Americans, you kind of get to rise above some of the traditional impositions of that, which is a
Mm,
blessing.
mm.
So you talked a little about like those identities and how they intersect. Um, were there any parts of the culture or even your experience that was challenging for you, or even times where you were just frustrated, or like, you know what, this is any of those type of experiences that you had? If so, share a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I think I I think it's disappointing sometimes, and I do it too. So the trip was humbling. I'm just surprised how like we have all these problems that are brought on by being Black in America, and then we go to Africa to like free up us, I guess, of like those struggles. But then outside of the American context, we still like hold fast to like those struggles because we realize those struggles we've now made synonymous with our Black identity. So it's one thing to be like,
Wow.
I'm Black, I'm proud, meaning, I honor my family, my heritage, my culture, people that have gone before me, that have done great things. And we do that as Black Americans, but it's been nuanced especially recently, with all the things, where we are proud and we have all these positive things to say about our Blackness, but then we also tie it in with like very hard things that are heartbreaking about our Blackness. So I think going to Africa, you are like, yeah, I'm so proud about my Blackness, and you're bringing, your history, whether that's your family or people you look up to, that whatever. And then you go to Africa and you're like wanting to play on that, but then you end up, I think, just bringing like a lot of that struggle. So I don't know. I think being
Wow.
there, like there was a lot of this American like thought, and it's like, it's not bad to be American. Like that's total, like I'm blessed, like we're blessed, like it's okay. And I think that's a huge thing in itself. I think we have to feel like ashamed or like I don't know, there's like this like issue with like the American, like,
Yeah.
that's not bad. So it's not wrong to go somewhere and to compare it to where you're from or how you feel. But I think just sometimes we don't realize, like we have to find, how do we have a balanced view of what being American and a Black American is? Because I think when it's like that American part is made to be all bad, you go to Africa looking for it to make you more Black. And I'm sorry, but traveling somewhere won't make you more Black. So you end up still holding on to those struggles of being American in a place that really has nothing to do with that. So it's like you can kind of not miss out, but I think if you don't go with the right like heart and mind, you can end up feeling like not confused, but like more conflicted or like unsure of like how it impacted you or should impact you. So I think like I was just like surprised seeing like, wow, like even in the continent, on the continent of Africa, we still cling to like American identity so much, and the Black American identity, which really is like in many ways has been like suppressive. So it's like we are somewhere that's so liberating and it's so free and empowering, and like I said, spiritually like just feels so good, but you can still just be held down by whatever you've thought your Black American identity is. So I think going to Africa, you have to use it to like add some oomph to like your Black American identity, but it can't replace it. And the only way it can add oomph and add value is if you have a good foundation of what your Black American identity is, and just going there will not give that to you.